Good evening, and thank you for joining me, Rosanna, as we celebrate the life of Professor Alan da Silva in this simple but heartfelt tribute to my dear Uncle Alan. I thought it best not to go extempore. Instead, I spent time collating my thoughts and organizing songs, and of course, in doing so, shed a few tears. But hopefully, in doing the preparation, we can keep it together till the end of this program. While this is by no means a formal church memorial service, given that I'm recording in my own home here in Australia, I will definitely be quoting relevant texts from the Bible, which I'm sure Uncle Alan knew very well. I'll incorporate songs Uncle Alan loved and asked me to sing for him, and I'd like to thank those of you who have shared your personal tributes, which I will also include. Saturday, 12th December 2022, marks 1 month since Uncle Alan's passing. But the memories I will cherish will remain with me for as long as I live. And I won't be surprised if there are many of you out there who will also remember my uncle, your teacher, professor, mentor, and guide for many years to come. His death has not dimmed my love and respect for my dear Uncle Alan. In fact, over the last 4 weeks, all the more I have reflected upon his life and how much I owe to him personally. I thank the Lord for granting me the blessing of being Uncle Alan's niece, and with gratitude will spend some time with you today, sharing thoughts and feelings, not just my own, and celebrating the life of a wonderfully gifted individual I am proud to call my uncle. When Uncle Bertie called us to tell us that Uncle Alan had passed away, even though we knew he had been unwell, it was still a devastating blow to our family, and together we grieved privately. Being away from India meant we were sadly unable to bid farewell to Uncle Alan ourselves, and it seemed so very unreal. So nearly a week after Uncle's passing, in my personal grief, I felt deeply moved to find if anyone out there, either on the web or on Facebook, remembered Uncle Alan or had marked his passing. My Google search led me to this photograph of Scottish Church College, and curious, I clicked on the image and up came a most touching post by Nishi Pulugartha, which I have to admit brought me to tears. And Nishi, I want to thank you for allowing me to share what you had written. And this is what she said. Several years ago, I was a nervous, flustered student at the Department of English, Scottish Church College, trying to find my way through what seemed a complicated routine through galleries and classrooms. It was here that I was absolutely awestruck by the erudition and wonderful teaching style of Professor Alan da Silva. I still vividly remember him and his style of teaching, of entering into class and talking, of his classes on Eliot. ADS had a great wit and a wonderful style of engaging with the subject, drawing us into the world of literature. We lost ADS yesterday, and as the news came in, so did the wonderful memories of him and his classes. Rest in peace, sir. Thank you very much, Nishi, for your tribute and for caring enough to write such a touching tribute in almost immediate response to receiving the news of Uncle's passing, and for bringing me comfort when I needed that reassurance that Uncle was remembered and his loss deeply felt by others. On 11 September, I marked the passing of a mother and a monarch by presenting a program in memory of the late Queen Elizabeth. I ended my memorial tribute with one of the Queen's favourite hymns, The Lord's My Shepherd, which is based on Psalm 23. At the time of the recording, I had no idea that only 2 months later, we would bid farewell to a very beloved member of our own family. And while I will not sing that hymn today, I repeat the words of Psalm chapter 23, verse 4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, They comfort me. And while our hearts are still heavy with the weight of our loss, the Bible assures me in Matthew chapter 5, verse 4, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." My Uncle Alan was a brilliant professor of English, and so much of English literature is tied up in biblical references. So it is not surprising that he was also an accomplished scholar of the Bible. And at one time, he was even a passionate preacher and an evangelist. So I have no doubt that Uncle Alan would have been very familiar with 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, which says in verses 13 to 18, "But I do not want you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning those who have fallen asleep, lest you sorrow as others who have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so God will bring with him those who sleep in Jesus. For this we say to you by the word of the Lord, that we who are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord will by no means precede those who are asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and thus we shall always be with the Lord. Therefore, comfort one another with these words." My Uncle Alan, for much of his teaching life, was a very public figure who at the same time was fiercely private. His life's journey was fascinating and fraught with challenges. He was born on 7th August 1950 to proud parents, Richard and Mari da Silva. My grandmother was not schooled in music, but she was blessed with a beautiful singing voice, and I still remember her clear soprano singing to me, so I'm sure she sang often to her children when they were little. So when at the height of the pandemic, I started recording and posting song requests on Facebook, the very first song Uncle Alan asked me to sing and record for him was a beautiful classical piece that he loved, Johann Brahms' Wiegenlied Guten Abend, Guten Nacht, Opus 49, number 4. And so I sang it for Uncle first in German, though I don't know the language. Then I recorded the lullaby or cradle song in English, and thirdly, an amalgamated version of the song sung by Alla Jones and Chloe Anu, which fittingly begins as a lament over a loved one who has passed away. Originally, I thought I'd sing the songs live as I recorded, but I've developed, unfortunately, a bit of a sore throat, so I don't want to take the risk. I will instead sing along with the recording that I had done for Uncle Alan, and I hope that if you know the song, you too can sing along and join with me. This is Brahms' Lullaby. Slumber softly, dear love, 'neath the roses above. And yes, that was the very first song that Uncle chose and asked me to sing for him. Moving on, during his formative years, Uncle Alan had some really God-fearing teachers and principals who loved and cared for him like their own son. One teacher who had an impact on young Alan's life was a priest at St. Helens in Kurseong. Father Mackay took my uncle under his wing and later in life was to give him his first opportunity to teach at a school in Bhutan. While Uncle Alan was not a devout Catholic, quite obviously, the teaching of the priests and the nuns left an impression on him. And I can still remember him being so very passionate as he recalled those stories, and he went into raptures almost. And I went into raptures listening to Uncle Alan's clear voice belting out those songs in a language that was foreign to me. He would recount to me stories of his childhood and how he would sing in the choir. Now, I'm married to Nick de Cesare, who is an Australian born to Italian parents, and even Nick was amazed at how over 50 years later, Uncle Alan could still remember the chants and the songs in Latin. So it was not surprising that Uncle's second song request was Ave Verum Corpus, a motet in D major composed by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart in 1791. This was less than 6 months before his death. This sacred choral piece is about the love of Christ and the sacrifice Jesus made on the cross for mankind. It is a plea from the singer asking Jesus to have mercy on him, or her for that matter, and to be a foretaste of the heavenly banquet in the trial of death. And while we lament over the loss of Uncle Alan, my family and I rest in the assurance that is found in Romans chapter 8, verses 38 and 39. For I am sure that neither death nor life nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. So I thought it was only fitting to sing this song again. I'd recorded it for Uncle Alan and I'll sing along with it. This is Ave Verum Corpus. In response to my 19th November post, Sandeep Roy Chaudhary sent me a messenger message. Incidentally, when Nishi and I were exchanging messages, she also shared with me the link to her classmate Sandeep's tribute, and Sandeep wrote, "Hello, I'm Sir's ex-student from English Honours Batch 1989 and want to share a memoir which I shared on my Facebook wall a day after his demise. Studying English literature in Scottish Church College in our days was itself a rewarding experience. The stream was star-studded with accomplished professors. But the crowning glory of the department was definitely and most certainly Professor Alan da Silva. His diction, his soothsaying style of lecturing in a deep, baritone voice had a magic to keep even the most uninterested student engrossed for the entire period. The cherry on the cake was his early morning's discourses at the choir session. Even when my classes were to commence from 11 a.m., I would be enchanted enough to attend choir sharp at 9:45 just to enjoy his reading of sermons followed by a magical spell of church music. I'm sure all the students will agree that Sir's persona has left a lasting impression in everyone's mind, which we will all remember till the last day of our lives. Got to know with a heavenly heart that Sir had left for the heavenly abode yesterday early morning, but he lives on in the hearts of thousands of his students for years to come. Rest in peace, Sir." Sandeep, you wrote, "I don't know how to write an obituary, but I say that you have written a deeply touching, heartfelt tribute, and thank you so much for doing that." Nishi, you had so correctly pointed out that ADS Sir had a great wit. He most definitely had a sense of humor, not just in his storytelling style, but in that Uncle Alan absolutely delighted in introducing me to songs that I would ordinarily have never sung. He taught me my lessons in life, so to say, and while these lessons have absolutely no bearing on the next song he chose for me to sing, I can say with confidence that we shared many happy times together. Lots of laughter, lots of fun. He was more than just a distant uncle to me. My mother, Effie's eldest brother, played an integral part in raising me. Uncle would be the one to feed me and look after me on the days that I spent at my grandparents' house. As a baby and a child, he read to me, sang to me, even danced for me. He was a really good dancer, by the way, and he regaled me with his many tales. As a teen and youth and even into my middle age, Uncle Alan was my teacher, guide, mentor, and inspiration. I would be absolutely nowhere without him. And this is a celebration of his life, and since this is not a church service, this next song just goes to show that Uncle Alan did not just have a keen wit and humour, as well as a superb memory, but he also had a very varied interest in music, apart from being an absolutely brilliant and exceptional professor of English. For those of you who have attended Uncle Alan's classes, I am sure you will remember not just being enthralled by the way he taught the texts, but also by his amusing anecdotes. Talking to many of you, and in fact talking of Uncle Alan and his anecdotes, Piali Gangopadhyay wrote, "Was fortunate to be his student. We used to wait for his classes, not only for his lectures, but the anecdotes in between lectures on things around us. May his soul rest in peace. You will be forever in our memories." So thank you, Piali, for sharing that tribute. Well, the next song Uncle Alan had asked me to sing was a result of another one of his absolutely hilarious anecdotes. This time when he was a wee boy who was enraptured by the strident, stentorian soprano of a young nun. It seemed as if her sole aim was to make the most of time early in the morning by standing outside the bathroom singing at the very top of her lungs in order to teach her young charges a song that they had to perform for an upcoming concert. This she did, of course, with great gusto, according to Uncle Alan, while the boys brushed their teeth and prepared themselves for the day ahead. She was sure that she would have the boys ready for the concert by singing the same song over and over again at the top of her lungs, much to the disapproval of her senior nuns. Well, I think she attained her objective if some 60 years later, Uncle Alan still not just remembered the song, but her decorum-defying demonstration of Molly Malone. Now, I recorded 2 versions for Uncle Alan, but for now, I'll just try to recreate Sinead O'Connor's more haunting rendition of Molly Malone. And again, I didn't think I'd be able to sing it live, and so I will sing along with the recorded version. If you know the song, sing along with me in memory of Uncle Alan. In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone, as she wheeled her wheelbarrow through streets broad and narrow, frying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, frying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She was a fishmonger, and sure 'twas no wonder, for so were her father and mother before. And they go with their barrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She died of a fever, and no one could save her, and that was the end of sweet Molly Malone. Now her ghost swings her barrow through the streets broad and narrow, frying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Please don't ask me what possessed the nun to teach little boys a song about a fishmonger who turns into a ghost, but all the same, Uncle Alan must have really loved and enjoyed the story. He loved ghost stories, by the way, even though he didn't believe them. And he loved this song, wanted me to sing it. moving on from this rather ghostly number, I would like to thank Rimi for her condolences. Now, Rimi, you wrote, I was shocked by the news of his death. Sir has always been very special to me. I have shared stories about him with my students down the years. ADS Sir had named me Tiffin Girl because very often he would walk into class to find my friends eating from my tiffin box. I remember him with that jolly smile. And the 3 years at Scottish Church College, I would look forward to the choir practice, the 1-month practice conducted by Sir. It was magical. His classes were equally interesting. His booming, confident voice and his method of teaching has always been an inspiration for me. I still remember his warm presence. Rimi, you belonged to the batch of 2006 and 2009, from 2006 to 2009, and thank you also for sharing that very special photograph of Professor Da Silva with the choir during your final year in college. Pabitra Pathak, Scottish Church College batch 87 to 89, was an English honours student also. He was a class representative and then went on to become Vice President of the Students' Council and Chairman for Caledonia, which is Scottish Church College Fest, for 2 years, of which Uncle Alan was guide and mentor in charge. Now, Pavitra shared his tribute with me and he wrote, ADS Sir will always remain in our hearts as gentle, cheerful, attractive, energetic teacher who always brought a smile to everyone's faces. His lectures were interesting and inspiring, and we always looked forward to his classes. He explained literature in a simple yet unique manner, which left a lasting impression on one's mind. To Sir with love. Thank you, Pabitra, for sharing with me that the College English Honours WhatsApp group has also remembered ADS Sir. Thank you very much. Now, the Lord blessed my Uncle Alan with a keen mind, and he was a brilliant student who caught the eye of Mr. Hicks, who was the principal of Calcutta Boys' School. So when health challenges once again plagued my uncle, which otherwise would have ruined his childhood, Mr. Hicks did all he could to support his young protege. So while the effects of his illness lasted right through his life, my Uncle Alan was given the opportunity to get the best medical help possible, and he pushed onward with his education at CBS before going on to complete his Bachelor of Arts degree at St. Xavier's College, where incidentally his younger brother, my Uncle Bertram, has served as Vice Principal of the Arts and Science departments since 2011. Teaching must obviously run in our blood, and my grandparents, though not formally trained, were both educators. And so when their eldest son joined his alma mater as a teacher, they could not have been prouder. From Calcutta Boys, Uncle went on to teach at Le Martiniere for boys before deciding it was time for a change of pace. It was time to try his hand at banking instead. He excelled in the test and served as a probationary officer at UCO Bank, but the call of the classroom was greater than the benefits of the bank, and so Uncle Alan went back to complete his MA. He then joined Scottish Church College, and the rest, they say, is history, and which is why so many of his students remember him with respect and love, not just because he was an excellent teacher, but you have many special memories of him. Each one of you have your own memories. So, Pabitra, it is definitely to serve with love. And once again, I recorded this song in tribute to my Uncle Alan and to my teachers at Calcutta Girls High School. And I thought it was only fitting to put this song in as well. I know many of you know this song, so if you do, sing it along with me in memory of Uncle Alan. Those schoolgirl days are telling tales and biting nails all gone. But in my mind, I know they'll still live on and on. But how do you thank someone who has taken you from chaos to perfume? It isn't easy, but I'll try. If he wanted the sky, I would ride across the sky in letters that were so 1,000 feet high, to soar with love. The time has come for closing books, and long last looks must end. And as I leave, I know that I am leaving my best friend, a friend who taught me right from wrong and weak from strong. That's a lot to learn. And what I give you in return. If you wanted the moon, I would try to make a start, but I would rather you let me give my heart to serve with love. I didn't play the whole song for you, but if you want to hear the song and see the images, you can jump online and you can watch it later. Well, the year I was born, Bette Midler recorded a touching song for her movie called The Rose, which was based on the life of Janis Joplin, a talented singer-songwriter who died tragically at the age of 27. I had never heard of her, but it was Uncle Alan who introduced me to Bette Midler and her singing voice, a beautiful voice, I must say. That song has become an all-time favorite and is often played during a funeral or a memorial service. It has beautiful imagery coupled with tender emotions about the beauty of love. Losing a loved one is never easy, but life is not permanent or perfect. Father Time marches on and in his wake brings challenges of sickness and suffering, discouragement and death. None of us are immune to the ravages of time, and neither was my Uncle Alan. But like the seed will flower at the right time, we too can cherish the hope in our hearts that though we will always remember those that have gone to sleep, and the pain will be there, the deep pain will lessen, it will pass, and peace will be restored. So many of you have shared your own precious memories of Professor Da Silva or ADS, and your sentiments of respect and love have been much appreciated, not just by me, but by my mother in particular. So for all of us who have loved and lost, this poignant song is a beautiful backdrop for this memorial, which is centered on love and remembrance, a celebration of the life of Professor Alan Da Silva. Now, I haven't recorded these songs before, but I'm going to try and sing it live, and if there are mistakes, there are mistakes. It doesn't matter. I know that you will still understand that we are celebrating the life of a wonderfully gifted and talented person who was dear to us. And so this is Bette Midler's The Rose. I'm going to try and get that started in a second. When you're doing live, you have to be, I guess, ready for any eventuality, especially when you're dependent on the internet. So let's see if this works. Okay, it's definitely going to work, I think. So just going to get the volume to the right. Doesn't want to work for me, but I'm sure we'll get this working eventually. And this is Bette Midler's beautiful song. I know that some of you would know this song, so please join along with me and sing along as we remember those of our loved ones who have passed away. Start again. Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger, an endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and you, it's only seed. It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. It's the dream afraid of waking that never takes the chance. It's the one who won't be taken, who cannot seem to give, and the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live. When the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long, and you think that love is only for the lucky and the strong, just remember in the winter, far beneath the bitter snows, lies the seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose. I'll share a few more tributes as we continue. Soumya wrote, ADSL will forever live on in the memory of all his students. The passion with which he taught was unparalleled. Parjanya Sen wrote, his Keats, his Macbeth, his Yeats. I can still hear his booming voice echo through those old neo-Baroque corridors. His passion for life infused his reading of these literary texts with us. Dear Alan, sir, you won't ever be forgotten. And Sharmishta Saha Sigdar wrote, ADS Sir will remain in our hearts and our memories. Remembering the Macbeth classes still gives goosebumps, and also our Christmas choir. Thank you so much and love you, sir. May he rest in peace, and condolences to the family. Thank you, Soumya, Prajanya and Sharmishta. And carrying on, for most of Uncle Alan's life, almost every waking moment was spent in service to others, be it his family, his friends, colleagues and his children, especially his students at Scottish Church College, and the many who went to him for tuition. While unfortunately and regrettably I was unable to learn and sing this song to Uncle Alan before he passed away, I was surprised by his very contemporary choice of gospel song. But then again, put into context, I realized he was telling me that he had surrendered his life to his Maker. For I know Uncle was often tired out by the almost incessant demands on his attention and time, but I believe that he modeled his life of service on the Master Teacher, Christ, whose words were recorded in Matthew chapter 7, verses 28 to 30. Come to me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And so I'll sing this song, or at least I'll try to sing this song that Uncle wanted me to sing, and it's called I Surrender by Hillsong. Here I am down on my knees again, surrendering all, surrendering all. Find me here, Lord, as you draw me near, desperate for you, desperate for you. I surrender. Drench my soul as mercy and grace unfold. I hunger and thirst, I hunger and thirst. With arms stretched wide, I know you hear my cry. Speak to me now, speak to me now. I surrender, I surrender. I want to know you more, I want to know you more. I surrender. Like a rushing wind, Jesus, breathe within. Lord, have your way, Lord, have your way in me. Like a mighty storm, still within my soul. Lord, have your way, Lord, have your way in me. I surrender. I surrender. Mrs. Lily Das has been my mother's friend since childhood, and she was a very special teacher to me, who loved and mentored me as a student at Calcutta Girls High School. Now, Auntie Lily wrote, Alan was an excellent teacher and a wonderful person who had a great sense of humour. He helped me with my MA. His lectures were very interesting. I have known him from my school days. I have a wonderful memory of him, and he has been a big brother to me. Then Subrata Mukherjee wrote, he was my most favourite professor. I can still remember his lectures in his English honours classes in Scottish Church College. I was his student for 3 years and remember him as the best and smartest professor. I was shocked to hear the news last week. My heartfelt condolences to his family. Sorry for your loss, dear, he was writing to me. It is our big loss. Rest in peace, sir. Thank you for your tributes, Auntie Lily and Shubrotha. Now, my uncle, Professor Alan da Silva, or ADS Sir to his students, was a truly gifted individual. He was a brilliant student who went on to become an even more proficient professor. I think I'm safe in saying that my uncle, Professor Alan da Silva, has left an indelible legacy that lives on in his students, who number in the hundreds or possibly the thousands more accurately. Many themselves now are teachers, professors and writers. Some of his past students have reminisced his morning sermons and his conducting of the choir. Now, this is a very special photograph of the first and last time that my uncles, Uncle Alan and Uncle Bertie, and I sang together for the Scottish Church College Christmas programme in 2006. While over the last few years Uncle Alan withdrew from public life and did not wish to reflect on his teaching career, all the same, Scottish Church College had played a really important and consistent role in his life, and so it is only fitting to sing the college hymn as a paraphrase of Psalm 90, written by Isaac Watts in 1719. I know that most of you, especially those of you who are students of Scottish Church College, know this song, so if you can, please sing along with me. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home, under the shadow of thy throne, thy saints have dwelt secure. Sufficient is thine arm alone, and our defense is sure. Before the hills in order stood, or earth received her frame. From everlasting thou art God, to endless years the same. A thousand ages in thy sight are like an evening gone. Short as the watch that ends the night before the rising sun. Time like an ever-rolling stream bears all its sons away. They fly forgotten as a dream dies at the opening day. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come. Be thou our guide while life shall last, and our eternal home. Now, I think you may be wondering, maybe Rosanna forgot the tune to the last verse. No, I didn't. That was the descant version for the last verse, which I know Uncle Alan loved and loved me to sing. And so I had to include it. So if you've sung along with me, or if you have the desire to sing the song again, you can rewind it and sing along while I sing this descant in the last stanza. Now, before he became an inspiring professor, my Uncle Alan was an accomplished biblical scholar, and for a time he was even a passionate evangelist. He conducted Daniel and Revelation seminars which were gripping and yet easily understood, making it accessible to his listeners. He was only young, but Uncle Alan knew the scriptures thoroughly and spoke with passion and conviction. I am sure he would have thrilled his congregation with these comforting yet stirring words from Revelation chapter 21, verses 1 to 5. And I, John, saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And God himself shall be with them and be their God. And God will wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Amen. We are surrounded by the people we love when we celebrate milestones like a birthday or a significant life event. However, no matter how many people we meet along life's journey, we come into life alone and we leave the same way. Uncle Alan was always there for my many birthday parties, and when I moved to Australia, I looked forward to our birthday phone call. For the first time this year, there was no phone call, and 2 days later, he was gone. But I take comfort in the words of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 51 to 57. Behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, for the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible has put on incorruption, and this mortal has put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your sting? O Hades, where is your victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to God, who gives us victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. For now, I will not hear his voice again or see his face, but I will cherish Uncle Alan's most precious gift to me, which is this keyboard right here. The same musical instrument that I have made excellent use of these 15 years. I used it for the very first time to sing a song at our wedding in 2007, and I still play it to this day. The music never stops. And so I sing this moving hymn by Henry Francis Lyte, which he wrote when he was nearing his death and was first played during his funeral. Abide with me. I know you know this song too, and at the peril of going on for quite a while, I still want to sing all these stanzas because I know that my grandmother, whose chain I'm wearing in her memory, and the brooch in memory of Uncle Alan, they loved singing the hymn from verse 1 to the end. And so join me as we sing this last song in closing, Abide with Me.
The
steps out life's little day. Earth's joys grow dim, its glories pass away, change and decay. In all around I see, oh, thou who changest not, abide with me. I need thy presence every passing hour. What but thy grace can foil the tempter's power? Who like thyself my guide and stay can be? Through cloud and sunshine, oh, abide with me. Hold thou thy cross before my closing eyes, shine through the gloom and point me to the skies. Ends morning breaks and earth's wan shadows flee. In life, in death, oh Lord, abide with me. I fear no foe, with thee at hand to bless. Ills have no weight and tears no bitterness. Where is death's sting? Where, grave, thy victory? I triumph still if thou abide with me. For now, as a family, we have mourned a brother and an uncle privately. But it is time to put away private mourning over his death and to put together a public tribute to celebrate the life of my dear Uncle Alan. It seemed only the right and fitting thing to do, and I thank you for joining me today. I would also like to thank all those who shared a tribute to Professor Alan da Silva on their Facebook pages and their WhatsApp groups, those who sent messages of condolence in response to my post, and a special word of thanks to those who took the trouble to send me private messages of your personal tributes to Uncle Alan. My heart is still heavy, and I feel so far from home as I come to the end of this memorial service, but I'll cherish every precious memory till, God willing, we meet again on that great resurrection morning, and this fills me with a sense of peace. I will be forever grateful to my Uncle Alan. I loved him. I always will. I'd like to thank Scottish Church College for the beautiful tribute that they paid to my uncle as well. And I'd like you to join me as we bid a final farewell 1 month after his passing. Thank you for joining me here today. Take care and God bless you. And I hope that as we remember Uncle's life, you would have been blessed by this program. So God bless and take care.